Hello Plant Tribe and welcome back to Plants, Pots and Whatnots. If you are new here, my name is Nikki. Welcome, it is so lovely to have you. If you are returning and you're my usual gluttons for punishment, thank you so much for coming back. It is amazing to see you as always. So, if you've been following along, not long ago I was at a nursery and I picked up some succulents and this cute little pot. I want to make myself a little succulent planter to be able to take to work so I can kind of bring some of my home to work. Plants make people happy, and where do we need the most happiness? At work. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. Anyways, so today I am going to be making this cute little succulent planter. I have my pot and my succulents, and I'm just gonna kind of ramble about succulents while I go about this planter. I don't know if I could dedicate an entire video to just the care on them, or maybe I could. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. This probably won't take me very long to pot up. And I've actually realized that I've broken one of the cardinal rules of planting a succulent planter. Laura from Garden Answer would be very disappointed in me. But anyway, I digress. So if that sounds like something that you would like to watch, then by all means stick around and let's hang out and pot up some succulents. So you may be wondering what this cardinal rule is of planting a succulent planter. So when you're planting a succulent planter, Laura always gives the best advice. She says that all of your arrangements, regardless actually of whether it's a succulent planter or, some kind of planter, is that it should have a thriller, a spiller, and a filler. And I don't know what I was thinking when I was shopping for these succulents. I got some thrillers and a filler, and I didn't get any spillers, so that's on me. But we're gonna make do with what I've got here. We'll just wing it, because that's what we do. We wing our eyeliner, and we wing plants, and we wing life, and we just wing it. Okay, so as I said, I've got my pot. Now, number one rule of succulent care, and maybe not everybody's gonna agree with me on this, but coming from someone who's had a lot of succulents, who has killed a lot of succulents, this is crucial. So your pot must have a drainage hole. So this particular one has one of those little plug drainage holes. Now it is in this way so that it comes out this way. That's not going to do you a whole lot of good when the soil's here. You're not going to be able to get that out. So if yours comes with one of these, I'm sure it's probably just for transport so that it doesn't fall out and get lost as easily. But you're going to want to put that in the bottom. Succulents do not like to be wet at all. In fact, if you're somebody who really is like an underwater or forgets about your plants in general, then maybe succulents and cacti are for you. Really, the succulents that I have, I hardly pay attention to. I look at them, of course, because I think they're gorgeous. But I really don't do a whole lot of care. About once a month, I will water them, and I will just kind of prune off any wonky leaves or anything like that. But other than that, that's it. Once a month, they get a soaking through so that the water is coming out the bottom of the drainage hole, and that's all. So that's my first tip as far as succulents are concerned. So I guess the second thing would be the soil, because like I said, succulents don't like wet feet. You want a soil mixture that is extremely quick draining. So I'm basically talking when you pour water in the bottom, it immediately starts to flow out the bottom, or almost immediately. So let me show you the soil that I've got here while I put it in the pot. So this is the soil mixture that I have. You can see that it is really heavy on perlite because that does give you a really airy mix. There is also some tiny rock in here, like, I I don't even know what you call it, like really tiny rock. There's also some sand in here, which is really great for drainage as well. And it's just a really, really light mixture so that the water is just gonna flow all the way through and the roots aren't gonna get too much moisture. The reason that succulents like more dry soil, we have to think of where they come from. So succulents come from more desertous regions, more arid regions where there is not a whole lot of rain and not a whole lot of moisture in the soil. The reason that they're called succulents is because they're very thick. So they actually retain moisture and the water that they require in their leaves and in their stems and that kind of thing. So if you look at a cacti, we all know cacti for the most part come from desert places, and they retain water inside the actual plant themselves. And so the more water you give this thing, it only has so much room to retain that. And if you overwater them, they will literally turn to mush. And God forbid you touch them when they get really overwatered, because then they just kind of turn into this gelatinous mess. Nobody wants a gelatinous mess of a cacti. Don't overwater your succulents and cacti. Okay. So let's go ahead and fill this little bowl up here. I think I've also got some orchid bark in here as well. It's kind of up to you what you use. Just make sure that whatever you are using, it is very well draining. Okay, we've got our soil. I'm gonna set this aside. I hope I don't drop it. Okay, so there we go. We have our soil in there. I'm probably gonna need that again. I don't know why I put it down. So because I didn't really heed the, the rules on this whole succulent planter thing, because again, I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm just kind of gonna arrange these as best I can, and it actually just dawned on me that I don't have all of my succulent tools, so I will be right back. Okay, so I have a little box here that I keep all of the stuff that I use for succulents and that sort of thing, or all my smaller plants in. So in here I do have some sand. You can use that as a topper. I do have some small decorative rock that I also will use as a topper. I have some little, these actually came in really handy for a lot of things. So just those little coffee stir sticks. They're good for kind of like, trying to get in and around things. You can also use chopsticks, which I probably have in here as well. I do have little paint brushes because a lot of succulents have this little dusting, this coating on them. And what that is designed to do is to protect the plant from the really harsh sun rays. So FYI, if you have a succulent or a cacti that has that dusting on it, try not to touch them. It doesn't grow back. So once you wipe off that really pretty blue dust, and the name is not coming to me at all right now, but there is a name for that. It does not grow back. And I mean, it just doesn't look as pretty. I mean, to each his own. If you want to wash it all off, then that's, that's your prerogative, but just a little tip from me to you. Okay. So I also have these little tools. This one's really handy for like digging a little hole to put the root into. There's a small little shovel. There's this little one that's, I don't know what I use those for, but just in case. Holy shnikes, Batman. I also have some larger decorative rock that I may actually use in around here because it is a little bit bigger of a planter. I think the larger rock as a top dressing might look kind of nice. But for the time being, I need my little shovel thing. I am going to use this, and I think that's probably about it for now. So I'm just going to set this down. Okay. So I think what I want to do is put this in the corner. I think that would look kind of cute. Let's get rid of that. Yeah. So that's kind of like your backdrop. So if this was the front and you were looking at it this way, you've got your height at the back, so you kind of have a little depth of field, and it kind of goes up as we go. So let's start there. I'm gonna dig a little hole out here. And I forgot my pot that I put all my soil in. Hold on one second. Okay. So while I was getting my little bowl that I like to use for my old soil, I actually found, or decided that I have a large string of bananas that's just irritating the crap out of me. So I did take a few clippings off of that, and I'm going to use this as a bit of a spiller. So that is just something that comes over the edge of the pot. And then I do have this string of buttons as well, as I break a leaf off, that I'm also going to use in the back along with the fairy castle cactus. I can never get that right. Just to give it some height at the back. So yeah, I think this is gonna work. I think we're gonna be okay. So first things first, I need my glove. I always recommend to use gloves when you're working with cacti because they're spiky. Not that that's news to you. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to get as much of the old soil off as possible. It does have quite a lot of roots in here. The soil feels quite dry, but very dense. I don't know if that's a dog I'm hearing or if that's geese. Are they coming back? That would be great. I noticed that the days are actually starting to get a little bit longer. It's getting, it's staying lighter longer in the evening now, which is so exciting because that means spring is coming. Oh, thank God. Okay, so that's about all I want to get off without damaging a whole lot of the roots. So I'm just going to put him right in here at the back, and I think I want to put him down a little bit further. I'm going to kind of put him back as far as I can. And I will put more soil in at the end. I'm also going to put the rocks as the top dressing in there as well. So yeah. Okay, so far so good. I think it looks cute. Little fairy tale cactus. Fairy castle cactus. Honestly, does it really matter what I call it? Fairy tale, fairy castle. You all mean what I know, right? Okay, so this one I'm going to put on the other side. Actually, maybe right beside, I think. No, on the other side. So this, as you can see, is the soil that I had it planted in, and you can see how much more easily it just falls away than the soil that I picked that one up from in the nursery. And you can tell this one has been growing really, really well. And it's really, really dry, which is basically what you want your cactus and your succulent soil to look like. So I'm just gonna get him right in here, just kind of find where I like him. And I think I like him right there. Looks good. You're tipping over. There we go. So there is kind of our backdrop so far. And I think I actually need a little bit more soil in there. So let me grab that. Okay. That's probably good for now. That's one of the things that you'll find when working with planters like this, is you're gonna want more soil because you're gonna dig a hole and things are gonna end up being packed in, and then you're gonna want to add more, and it's like a whole thing. So I think I'm done with this glove. I do recommend that if you're working, like I said, with cacti, that you get a glove, but I do recommend a thinner glove, something that you can have a little bit more dexterity. Those big honkin' like work gloves, I don't find work very well because you can't, you know, do anything super detailed. Anyway, just personal preference or FYI. Okay, now these are the succulents that I have. There's these two. There's these guys. I think this is a little helicopter. I don't remember the name at all. And there's a little topsy-turvy here. There's actually two in that pot. So let's see how I want to put these in here. know. I'm just gonna mess around with it until I like how it looks. I'll probably end up speeding this up so you don't have to be, you know. So you'll see with this one, I don't know if you can tell, there's some little dried leaves on there. Before you plant them, just pull those off. The less healthy your plant is, the more it's going to attract pests, and we don't want pests. So you just kind of pluck those off. You can use tweezers or you can use your hands. Either works just fine. Just tidy it up and make it look pretty. Okay, there we go. Uh-oh. That's another thing. They are very delicate, so be careful not to snap them because they snap really easily. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. I'm kind of liking how that's looking. The cool thing about succulents too, when you're doing a succulent planter, you can build the soil up a little bit like I did with these two, just so that these are up a little bit higher. So you kind of, again, get that like depth of field, if that's the proper term. So you're kind of looking up so you can kind of see everything. So I think that I'm gonna try to throw this little helicopter in here over at the side. I'm not sure if it'll work, but we're gonna give it a shot anyways. Okay, there we go, and he nestled in there quite nicely. All right. So I may actually be able to fit all of these in here, which is super cool. I think I'm going to put this pink one over here just so that the color kind of comes across and translates all the way across here. Now this, I just noticed something here. This will be a good opportunity for another succulent life lesson. So succulents are a really easy to propagate plant. So by propagate, I mean create new plants out of existing plants. So what you have to do, so I see this one is just kind of like precariously sticking out here. So what you want to do is really gently wiggle it back and forth. And what you're looking for is a clean break from the stem of the plant. I'm just going to hold this one. It's a little weak. If you don't get a clean break, it's going to be a lot more difficult to root. This is probably not a good one to show you on. It's actually pretty attached there. I'm gonna leave that one. Let's do another one. This one here looks unnecessary. Let's take this one. So what you're gonna do is just wiggle it back and forth, and it should come off fairly easily. It's gonna make a liar out of me. There you go. So it's really hard to see, but you want a nice clean break. Then what you're going to do with this one is set it aside for 3 to 4 days and let that raw break callus over. And then you're just going to sit it really anywhere, but on top of soil, preferably. Give it a nice spray with your mister, and it will eventually start to grow roots. Make sure you put it in a nice bright spot, not direct sun, but bright enough. And you'll eventually see little roots on this guy, and it will grow into its own cute little plant. So there you go. Okay, so this one, I'm gonna tuck in here. we go. I think that looks cute right there. So that's where we're at. And then we have 2 plants left. So this little guy who I love, he's so cute. He's got little pink tips. Will look really nice right here in the front. And then we'll put our spillers in. And that will be it. So if there's actually questions that you have, because there's lots that I didn't actually obviously go over, because it was like a 5,000 foot overview on succulents, then by all means throw them down in the comments, and I am more than happy to answer those for you there. Succulents is kind of where this channel started, and I've kind of gotten away from them. I do really like them. Don't get me wrong, my aeroids and that kind of thing are definitely where my heart is at. But I really do like succulents. They're really cute. You can do so much with them. You can take these apart and deconstruct them and, replace them in another cute little arrangement of some kind. And they're just amazing little plants. And they come in so many beautiful colors. And they're really great for people who suck at plants. Because you just ignore them and they're like, okay. So here we're gonna tuck that little guy, bump him up just a little bit. There we go. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit more soil right in the front here, and then we can put our little string of dolphins in as a spiller on the front. I've kind of decided that the planter is going to go this way. So there's where we're at. Let me grab some more soil. Don't worry too much about all of the soil that you're inevitably going to get all over your succulents, because I'm going to show you a really easy way to get that off so that it looks nice and polished and clean. So I'm just going to take these guys here. I'm going to snip that one off. I'm going to pull off a couple of the... Now this is obviously a very immature stem. These will grow into full-blown bananas. So I'm just going to take off a few of these so I have a nice decent stem to get right down there in the soil. And I'm going to use my little coffee stir stick to just kind of dig a hole and put it right down in there. Hopefully you can see that, and you can't. Okay. There we go. Now, these spillers aren't going to look fabulous right now. I really should have gotten something better, but you do what you have with what you have, and this is what I have right now, so we're going to make the best of it. So there is another one. We're going to pull these off without hurting the nodes. And you will see that, I don't know if you can see that or not, this little thing here. So these get little advantageous roots, and they will root in, and these plants root so easily. You just stick them down in here. So after I'm done with this, I'm gonna leave it as is for about 2 days, maybe 3 days, just in case there was any breakage of roots or anything like that. Because if I water the plant and there was any broken roots, that can lead to root rot and fungus and all kinds of stuff like that. We don't want that. So we're gonna let it sit for a couple days and then we'll water it. So let's stick this other one in here. The front of this is gonna look so weird. I'm gonna have to do something to make it look a little nicer. Had I been thinking. Way to go, Nikki. Should have gotten something nice and bushy and full to kind of come over the edge there. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
What is that? Sounds like somebody revving a skidoo or something.
I don't know. It could be like an ATV or something.
So those are having a little bit of a difficult time staying in there, but I think once I get the top dressing of the little rocks on, it will be fine. I'm not worried about it. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Now let me go get my little tool that I used to clean it all off. We'll put some decorative rocks on, and that will be it. I'll be right back. Okay, so this little thing is actually something I got in a succulent kit off Amazon. I will link these below. This is super handy. Now what I will say is this is more handy after you get your top dressing on, so I'm not going to use this yet. So this is what I'm going to use. So you can get down in there. It doesn't hurt the plant. You can get all the little pieces of dirt. Now I can't really see it from the front very well, but I will clean it up for all the final shots. But yeah, just a soft little paintbrush is perfect, or an old makeup brush that's clean. So I'm trying to decide what I want to use for my top dressing. I have these kind of purpley decorative rocks, and then I have these larger ones. I'm not really sure what's gonna look good. So I might maybe go with a combination of both. I'm just gonna kind of play with it and see what happens. There we go. I think what I'm going to actually do is pour a little bit of sand down into here just to kind of cover up the rest of the little bits of soil that you can see, because I'm particularly there we go. There is the finished planter. I think it turned out super, super cute. And once these really sad little spindly strings of bananas fill in there, I think it's going to look really nice. So that is going to look so awesome on my desk at work. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. It's kind of beachy. It has that whole like desert vibe, and I am really loving the way this looks. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the comments. I know I missed a whole ton of care tips and that kind of thing. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this for about 3 days, and then I'm gonna go in and water it. And yeah, I'll keep you updated. These will last in here for quite some time if cared for properly, and but they will eventually grow and they will outgrow this planter. So that's the fun thing, like I said, with succulents. You can pop these all out. You can you know, leave some of them in there, kind of rearrange them, and they will just, you can just keep reusing them. They are fantastic for that. So, you know, for different seasons and that kind of thing, you can decorate them up in different, you know, seasonal containers like Christmas and for Easter and that kind of thing. Succulents are so, so fun for that. Anyways, if you like how it turned out, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you think.
as promised, here are my 3 amazing Plant Tribe commenters that I did not include in the last 2 videos. I do apologize. The first comment was on my philodendron video. That comes from Debbie Loomis. You are always so sweet and kind, and your comments always warm my heart. So thank you. The next comment is Renee Allen. Oh my goodness, Renee keeps me laughing. Every time I read one of her comments, I am like dying inside. And my last commenter on my plant haul video is a long-time subscriber and long-time commenter, Donna Womack. Thank you so much, Donna, for sticking with me through all of the crazy, awful videos. I appreciate you being here so much. Thank you.
Have a great day, night, week, month, year. I love you guys to bitty bits. Mwah!